This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices fell on Thursday after the biggest jump in U.S. crude inventories in 3 years, with signs of weakness in the physical oil market also weighing on prices, while traders assessed U.S.-Iran talks. Brent crude futures were down 95 cents, or 1.3%, at $69.90 a barrel by 13:51 GMT. WTI futures lost $1.06, or 1.6%, to $64.36. U.S. crude inventories rose by 16 million barrels last week, Energy Information Administration data showed on Wednesday.
Russia will aim to keep its Urals crude oil exports steady in March by boosting shipments to China as India, a key buyer, cuts purchases following a trade deal with the U.S. Export options for seaborne Urals cargoes are set to narrow next month, with India expected to sharply reduce intake. Suppliers are turning to China, the world's top crude importer, as Turkey, the third largest Urals buyer, lacks the capacity to process more Russian barrels. In the current market, Russia has two main choices: increase discounts or curb production. Both would add pressure to Kremlin budget revenues, one trader said.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Prices of liquefied petroleum gas and naphtha jumped in Asia on Thursday after Saudi Aramco halted exports from a key terminal, disrupting supplies to the region, according to trade sources and LSEG data, with India likely to take the biggest hit. On Wednesday, Saudi Aramco said it halted LPG exports this week from its eastern terminal of Weimar, one of the world's largest exporters of propane and butane, after structural damage on February 23 to a part of its delivery system. The fuel from the terminal near the Jafurah gas field and Aramco's Ras Tanura refinery is used for heating during winter, as well as cooking gas and petrochemical feedstocks for steam crackers.
The European Union needs to coordinate its plan to impose a full maritime services ban on Russia's seaborne crude oil exports with other G7 countries before pushing ahead with the measure, the EU's sanctions envoy said on Thursday. The European Commission proposed a sweeping ban on any services that support Russia's seaborne crude oil exports on February 6, going far beyond previous piecemeal EU sanctions in its effort to stunt Moscow's key source of income for its war on Ukraine. I think the European Union has made clear that for the moment we are applying the oil price cap, which has just recently been reduced to $44 a barrel. Russia's revenue from oil and gas is down dramatically in recent months, and we will continue that policy, David O'Sullivan told a news conference in Bishkek. Next, we have the top news in metal market. Europe's steel industry said on Thursday that EU provisions due to be set out next week that prioritize the use of locally made materials must include steel, and local should be understood as only close EU neighbors such as Britain and Norway. The EU executive is to propose its Industrial Accelerator Act next Wednesday, with requirements to prioritize locally manufactured products when public money is used. The Made in Europe provision is designed to cover key strategic sectors, including batteries, solar and wind energy, hydrogen manufacturing, nuclear power and electric vehicles. It is not clear if low-carbon steel would be included.
China's lithium price surged on Thursday after Zimbabwe suspended raw mineral exports, sparking concerns over supply disruptions, at a time when growing energy storage demand is projected to drive a boom in the market. The most traded lithium carbonate contract on the Guangzhou Futures Exchange jumped 6.07% to 178,020 yuan, $26,043.45, a metric ton as of 0330 GMT. Having spiked more than 9% to 187,700 yuan earlier this session. Zimbabwe on Wednesday suspended exports of all raw minerals and lithium concentrates with immediate effect.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India is likely to record one of its warmest Marches on record, with above-average temperatures forecast in key wheat and rapeseed growing states, potentially cutting yields, two Weather Bureau sources said on Thursday. India, the world's second-largest wheat producer and biggest importer of edible oils, is counting on bumper 2026 crops to export surplus wheat and cut costly imports of palm, soy, and sunflower oils. However, higher temperatures during the crucial grain filling and maturity stages could cut yields, trimming overall production that was expected to reach a record high.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.